Hello all, BowTieSecurityGuy here. This is an interesting one I've been asked kind of many times to explain what it's like to be an ethical social engineer. One of the weird things is I've re-recorded this video now multiple times because I really want to hit on the important parts of social engineering, but I also want to talk about the mental aspect and the mental drain of this type of career choice. So let's first talk about what your job is. Your job as a professional social engineer is to work for the company and target individuals within that company to gain access to sensitive information. And a lot of times, the way you do that is by lying, deception, and exploiting human kindness. This may be something as simple as somebody holding a door for you. This might be a little more complex as, you pretending like you're having a hard day or even pretending to have a mental breakdown because you know that person is very kind to people who are struggling, and then asking them for things that they would not normally do in a situation with a stranger, but because you've built a relationship with them, they're now okay kind of giving you access to an area to just calm down for a bit. It's weird and it can be very hard mentally to go into a room full of people that you've spent the last week or weeks lying and deceiving via email and then in person, and then to spend the time and educate them on why you did it. It's very much like those spy movies where somebody will be like, was any of it real? No, it wasn't. I'm not a Cat fan. I don't follow your favorite sports team. I don't believe in your political affiliations. All of that was a lie to build social trust and to gain access to sensitive information. It's one of those career choices that I think people fall into. It's not one that people actively seek out because it's kind of weird. I never thought that my prank calling as a young kid and playing D&D would prepare me for playing roles and pretending to be people I'm not to gain access to sensitive information, but it did. And I was extremely good at it. I would argue only once, maybe twice, I was ever really identified before I was able to gain access to data. And this includes gaining access to banks, data centers, areas I should never be in. Um, all of it using just social trust and creating relationships very, very quickly with complete strangers. I think you have to be pretty charismatic to be a good social engineer. Um, and to build that trust with people. But it's one of those things that if you don't set boundaries for yourself in your personal life, you'll find it very easy to just lie all the time because no one can really detect when you're lying or telling the truth. So I think most of us early on kind of create a code of conduct. And I've talked to several people have written books, people are really big in the social engineering field. Um, and I asked them, do you lie in your real life when you're not on on an operation? And they said never. I will argue that professional ethical social engineers are some of the most honest, truthful people you will find because we find lying and deception so easy that it's not fair. But if it's a career path that you think would be fun for you, awesome. I would definitely augment it because you'll be part of a red team, most likely. I would augment it with some physical attacking skills, using different tools like rubber duckies and things that you can, basically run off USB to gain access to the sensitive data on a machine if you're given physical access. Um, Also just learning how to use tools like an Ubertooth to capture Bluetooth signals and other things that may be beneficial, like key card readers and stuff like that. If you get close enough to someone and the key card's not encrypted, it's relatively easy to kind of make a copy of that. Um, There's lots of ways and lots of tools that allow you to do that. I'm not going to give all of them out now, but really educating your staff and educating your team on the risk of social engineering is paramount to security at your company. You can spend millions upon millions of dollars securing your company, but if you do not spend time educating your users and doing simulated attacks, both physical and via simulated emails, you're not going to educate them enough to deal with a real targeted social engineering attack. That's all I've got. It's weird kind of talking about it, just because you really start to think about what you did. And like I said, I feel like being on the spectrum and not having like a normal emotional range really helped me cope, because I knew I was doing it for the greater good. I knew I was doing it to help, the company save millions, because a breach is incredibly expensive. And if I can do that with a couple hours of research, and I can do that by looking at your LinkedIn and learning what your causes and what things you're excited about are, I'll do so. But when you leave that room after educating these people, you've educated them, but you've also done something that I want people to understand. You've taken a part of their humanity. You've taken that inherent trust that they have with people, that innocence, and you've obliterated it. That doesn't sound like something you would be okay doing, then I highly recommend another career choice. But if it's something that sounds interesting to you, one, you're probably a weirdo like me, because I found human psychology and social engineering absolutely fascinating. Micro expressions, different physical cues and body language. I found all of that just incredibly fascinating, and I studied it for years, to become a very, very good social engineer. So yeah, that's all I got. I wanted to share that story. I don't know why it came to mind today, but I figure somebody out there probably wants to be a social engineer, and I wanted to tell you what it's really like. Not what you see in movies, but the actual mental implications, the what you do for a job, and the importance of it too. And even though it's kind of a slimy career, to some people looking from the outside, it is an incredibly, incredibly valuable thing that you need within your security team. And if you don't have it, you are definitely not thinking things clearly, because if you are targeted by a professional social engineer, it's not a matter of if you'll be compromised, it's a matter of when. Good luck out there.